Welcome to Grief and Motherhood, the podcast where we explore the profound journey of navigating motherhood after loss. I'm your host, Kaitlin, and I'm honored to be your guide on this grief journey. Whether it's the loss of dreams, the challenges of fertility, the pain of miscarriage, or navigating the uncharted territory of parenting a child with unique needs, grief can take many forms in the realm of motherhood. We'll be joined by incredible women who have generously agreed to share their stories, offering a glimpse into their personal experiences with grief and how it has shaped their journey as mothers. Through raw and authentic conversations, I'm aiming to create a space where mothers can find solace, understanding, and a sense of community. Because in the midst of grief, it's crucial to know that you're not alone. Join me on this heartfelt exploration of grief and motherhood, because sometimes it's in embracing our vulnerabilities that we discover the strength to carry on. This is Grief in Motherhood. Welcome back to Grief in Motherhood, where we navigate the complexities of grief in motherhood, healing, and hope. I'm your host, Kaitlin, and today I'm honored to have Elisabeth here with us. Elisabeth is a doula and women's health coach in Canada. She is dedicated to nurturing and empowering women through their life's transitions. I am so honored to welcome her. Hi, Elisabeth.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited that we get to kind of like bounce off each other.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you. So really, let's just dive in. Let's start by learning a little more about your journey. What has led you to become a doula and a women's health coach, and really how your work intersects with grief and loss in motherhood.
I had went to the library and I had read like every single pregnancy book that there was out there, and I thought, oh my God, we get to do this. This is so cool. I was super fascinated by it. So I was really drawn into that. And I had kind of tossed around the idea of maybe being a midwife and kind of working with women in that way. I didn't really like doctors, so I didn't think, yeah, I'd become one. Midwifery just kind of didn't kind of give me the same vibe.
Yeah.
So I kind of actually ended up at 18 going to university to get a business major. But I had known a local mom in my homeschool group because I grew up
Mhm.
homeschooled, and she had also been a doula. And she was sharing about a sale that this course was doing. When I had signed up for that course, I was just obsessed. When I first took the course, it was a fertility, birth, and postpartum conjoined as a doula course. And so I was really excited about it, but I also felt like there was more. I wanted more information. So then
Mhm.
I signed up for like two other doula courses that was like
Okay.
about birth and postpartum because I just was like, there's something else I want. And that's what kind of led me into my women's health coach training because that was a whole like just about the female body. And from there, kind of spiraled into menopause coach slash advocacy. And it just has kind of become like, that's why I help people from the beginning of right,
Yes.
like fertility all the way till menopause. I help women however I can.
I love that.
So
Yes. That's so great. I really love it. Yeah, I just love that, I don't feel like there's enough people like you,
yes,
enough resources out there for empowering women's bodies and, being a doula and all of it. And you're in Canada. So, I mean, of
yes.
course, it's probably a little bit different. I mean, I think the healthcare here in America and versus Canada is obviously a little bit different. I like to be open and honest. In my conversation, I want to like really dive into the real and the raw. So people know when
Yeah.
they're listening to this, that you're going to get information, So I think
Yeah.
it's great. Have you had to deal with a lot of like grief and loss so far in your journey with what you do?
One of my very first clients, it was like the first third, I think it was. She
Hmm.
was actually one of the homeschool moms in my area, and this was like her fifth baby. And she ended up having a miscarriage.
Yeah,
And that was a kind of a tough time because I didn't have much training on that one at the
sure.
time. And that's what made me like strive to get like two other courses and I want to know it all. She hadn't had a dual for any of her other births. This was her first
Mhm.
miscarriage. In a way, like I was learning as she was learning kind of
Sure,
method.
sure.
So she ended up calling me and she's like, oh, I think I'm having a loss. And then she was like crying on the phone, kind of talking it through with me.
Hmm.
And, I think it was later in the evening. I ended up talking to her for like 4 hours just in the evening because she really
Yeah.
wanted just to talk it out. She had kind of like almost secondary infertility. So that
Oh,
was a
yeah.
pause to then conceive the one that she was pregnant with. So after her loss, it was far enough along. She actually had made out kind of the shape of the infant. And
Oh,
that she was pretty sure that there was two of them actually. So
oh,
I had told her too. I was like, "Did you give them a name so that we can like kind of memorialize them?"
no, I think that's
But
great. I do. Yeah.
yeah, so she had named those two, and I had sent her that Christmas because it was right before Christmas time.
Mhm.
I had made like handmade ornaments with their name on it
Oh,
to
that's so
send her way.
special. Yeah.
It felt very special to me as well.
That's incredible because sometimes, honestly, especially like when you're in the midst of a loss like that, what else can you really do besides ask for support or just being able to cry to somebody? I feel like,
Yeah,
and for you to be that, it's just so important. It's great that you got to experience that. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I do
yeah.
think it's important for what you do to have that experience. And as sad as it is, and unfortunate as it is, we don't ever want a loss, but I mean, it's part of, what you do. So I do think that for you to have that is special.
Well, that was definitely my first experience with it. And then sadly she had another one right after. It was definitely something that taught me more. Use that for what I offer to moms. So I do have a page on my website that explains about bereavement care. And I now actually kind of have made my phone like a little bit of a hotline, a little bit that you could talk
Oh,
to. I just actually had done a show recently in this new area that I'm living. And one of the moms had said her daughter just went through a miscarriage. And so she had now reached out to me. And so I was supporting her through what she thought was the second one, but actually it was good news. It didn't end up being a miscarriage. So it was more just like the stress of it happening. So I've kind of loved being that resource a little bit that like, hey, if you just want to be talking to someone, I like being that option for people. So
I think that's wonderful. I mean, again, we're going to go back to there's not enough resources like that.
yeah.
Some people just need that like listening ear or, being able to cry to somebody. So for you to open up your heart and your phone and, just have that, I think that's so incredible. Let me ask you, what are some of the biggest challenges you feel like mothers face currently, like with healthcare and in general, and how do you support them through your work?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the support aspect. I think as women as a whole, I think we're all lacking that really. I mean,
Sure.
I was very blessed to grow up that my grandmother lived with me my entire life until just most recently. And she was there with my mom. So my mom
Mhm.
had four kids. One of them in between was a loss. So
Mhm.
technically five, actually, I should misspoke there, but my grandmother was there through her time.
Yeah.
So that's something I've noticed like through the past couple of years of me doing this, that a lot of people don't have that like mother bond a little bit. There's a lot of lack of relationships with mothers, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of time women are going it alone, or
Mhm.
they might have a best friend, but then the best friend's like, oh, you'll get pregnant again. Like
Yeah.
it's not as
Sure.
big a deal for them. So I found that that's been a really big issue, that the lack of support. And I think is why it's coming more important having a role like this, because you need
I
people.
think that's great. I love that. I
Yeah.
agree wholeheartedly there. So that's wonderful.
The education portion, I think. Because a lot of the time, like if you go to an appointment, if you don't even know some of the stuff they're saying, just having kind of like a middle person. And I think that's really, I've noticed, like even with loss too, that there's still a lot of stuff said with
Hmm.
doctors that aren't maybe explaining it correctly entirely.
Sure.
And you feel lost in that already on top of all the things you've got going on you're not fully understanding. So it
Mhm.
comes beneficial when you have maybe an extra hand like that to kind of help informational wise.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Yeah, I love that because especially like as a first time mom, sometimes you don't know
Yeah.
that you don't have the information, you're learning as you go. So that's great. I love that. One of the reasons I started this podcast was really to create a space for mothers, grieving mothers, mothers just walking the road of motherhood to feel seen and supported. So I think like it kind of ties into what you're saying.
Yeah.
But like for those listening today who are in the thick of grief, the thick of motherhood, what words of encouragement would you offer them? I would love to hear that, like from your point of view.
It's very hard. Grief is like a really big thing. I mean, I haven't had a child yet or a loss for that sake. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine what kind of pain goes through. The only thing that I can say that has helped, like with other people that I've supported and stuff, is just knowing that it's a kind of a day by day process. Right now, it does suck. And there's a lot of very bad feelings that are kind of going through everybody's
Yeah.
mind, right?
Oh,
But
sure.
just knowing that there will be a tomorrow. It might be
Mhm.
far, far away, but there will be a tomorrow. It's very hard because there really is nothing I can say, right, to make it better. I can only try to help, but that's always my thing is I always tell people, I'm like, there is nothing I really can say. I could just be there to hold you right through it.
Sometimes that's it. I mean, you have to be honest. It sucks. You're in the
Yeah.
midst of this loss. It's awful. I want to say sorry 100 times. I know what you're saying. Sorry, it's not going to make you feel better. But I love that, I love what you're doing. I think it's incredible. I really do. Where can you maybe tell my listeners like where people can find you? And I know you're based in Canada, but we might have some Canadian listeners. That would be great. I'd love to, get them to be able to connect with you. So if you want to share information about that, feel free. I'd love for you to share.
Well, I also have a podcast, as you know. She's on it, so in that episode too.
Yes, we just recorded an episode. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great conversation.
I'm on most social media platforms.
Okay.
I'm really trying really hard with YouTube to
Mhm.
post videos and educate. So the education side is like, I love it.
Yeah,
Let me
I
help
love
you.
that.
Everything is just at Fruitful Womb Doula. I
Okay.
named it after a Bible quote that says fruit of thy womb.
Oh, I
And
love
I
it.
love that
Yes.
because I was like, everyone's going to have babies and everyone's got a womb. So, yeah, I'm on all of the social media platforms. Pretty much, if you look it up, you'll probably find that Fruitful Womb Doula.
Sure.
I have a website, same thing, fruitfulwomb.ca. And I do help people actually virtually as well. It doesn't
Great.
matter if you're in US, Canada, Brazil, or, all the other places that I can't think. I do have
Okay.
a link to WhatsApp. So that way,
Yeah.
if you are going through something and you find my number on the website, you can text me through WhatsApp. And
I will share all of your information in my show notes. Again, thank you. An incredible conversation we've had. Is there anything else you'd love to share?
what you're going through right now is if you're going through it currently or have gone
Mhm.
through it, I feel like that there is tomorrow, even though it's going to take a very long time maybe to get there, depending on where you're at. But you're not
Sure.
alone in your grief. There are other
Mhm.
people that are going through it. And I love that's why you've created such a platform for
Mhm.
people. I think we mentioned this on the other one as well, but this has been seen as taboo for a long time.
Sure.
And it's not been talked about. And I think that's what our generation kind of is changing. And
Yeah.
I really always like to tell people, talk about your baby. If you want to make a post on Facebook that says like, hey, on this day, he
Mhm.
would have been this many years old. Or
Yeah.
I know one lady I follow, one of my educators, she has a post where she creates like these angel wing pictures
Oh,
and she
yes.
puts your baby's name on them and you get to post and stuff. And I always tell people, Canva's free, make something simple. Like
Yes, I love
just
it.
just
Mhm.
talk about your baby like they are real. You still can talk about them, but talking about them like helps a lot. So I always try to say, even though maybe you didn't get to hold your baby for long or all those kind of things, talk about
Yeah.
them, share about them.
That's incredible. I love that because that's again why I started my podcast. I want, moms and women and I mean even dads too. Just you're not alone in this journey. There are others going through it. Let us walk the path with you. I think what you're doing is incredible. So thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your story and keep up the good work because not enough people out there like you doing the good that you're doing. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Grief and Motherhood. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share with a friend, leave me a review, and find me on all the socials. Until next time.
That's all for today's episode of Grief and Motherhood. I am also providing links in the show notes of different resources. If you'd like to share your thoughts or experiences related to this topic, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, I'm sending light and love to each and every one of you.